Got up early. I'm doing homeschool planning for the week. Tomorrow we are going to be heading off further east up to the coast. We are going to be enjoying some things tomorrow, but it just works out that today is a work day. We have to stay in town and get some work done. Today, but I am sitting here doing my planning for Cristian's school. Got his textbooks here. A lot of you have been asking me about what system do I use, and this and that. I don't use a curriculum based system at all with him. Remember, my son has dyslexia, so most systems for him don't work. Whatever does work is very expensive. Most of the stuff is on the internet, and that doesn't work for us. So I use a book system with him because he has issues with language and reading. I just go online and I search for things that work. I read the reviews. Sometimes I get suggestions from people. As far as his comprehension is, I'm using this book for him. A lot of these scholastic books I like a lot because he can write right into them. He doesn't need a separate piece of paper. Sometimes he does, like for the writing assignments, he does. He's doing like graphic organizer, things like this, where he puts down his ideas and it helps him sort his brain. And then the next day he does his paragraph and his writing. So that's what I'm using for that. I'm also using the Spectrum books. These are great. Barnes & Nobles and Amazon sells these books, and we just buy these. The Story of the World is another one that I like a lot. We're on book 2. Almost finished with book 2, halfway there. And that's pretty much it. And then I give him spelling words. A lot of the spelling words I give him are words that we, when he does writing, he gets wrong. Like this week he got the word activity wrong. So I'll make a note on my phone. I have a little notes on my phone of words that I see that when he struggles with in writing, or when he's reading, whatever words he's struggling with reading, I just write it on my phone, and I know that he has to learn how to spell it. He has to learn what the meaning of it. So that's pretty much it. I don't, I used to do printables on the pretty stuff and this and that. I don't do that anymore. It's a lot of time consuming. I used to spend hours looking for the right printable, to organize his assignments and stuff like that. And this is what I'm using right now, which is very easy for me. Okay, this is what we've been using for a while. We bought this art planner at, I don't know, Staples. They're not very expensive. Cristian made his own design for it. I'm just going to show you an example of what we do. This is the way that I've simplified it, and I like this because I can turn it around and it's small on the desk. It's not big. I don't have to have a big planner on the desk. This is pretty much like what a typical day looks like. I like to keep a note of what we did that day. So we would travel to the waterfront. That's why maybe sometimes he doesn't get to do as much stuff in the day, because that was a busy day. That was the day of the hurricane. This particular day, we just took a day to explore and see some stuff, and then I'll talk a little bit more about that. But these are basically things that he did for school on that day. On anything that has a star on it is this other planner that he has that I bought him recently. It's a Midori. It's a copy of the Midori, and what he has to do is he has to have this in his backpack when we go explore stuff, and he has to write in there pictures, something memorable about the place. What is the place about? Like Fort Macon, the Maritime Museum, he wrote about that. This is basically a traveler's journal. The Pepsi-Cola store that we went to, he can draw pictures and just write about what was the significance of it and why it was important to have this as a landmark or a place to go visit or something like that. So I've done this recently. This is just, he keeps this in his backpack. And the nice thing about this, he can put more pictures in here if he wants. I can print him out some pictures and things like that of the trip. So this is a good memory, and this is also a way for him to really gather information and learn about a lot of places. It's basically, he takes a lot of pamphlets, and then he can come back and refer to them. He can also cut out some of these things and put it in his book if he wants to decorate it a little bit more. Maybe he's bored and it's raining and he wants to decorate his book. So this is a nice thing to do. So that is just because he's supposed to talk about those places that we've been to. Then of course he has his own travel journal. This is just a composition book that he's pasted some magazine cutouts from, and then we Mod Podged it and it protects it. So basically every single day he has to write in his journal, and I make sure that it says a travel journal, and he has to write about his travels there every single day. So, but the reason that I like this is, number one, I use grid paper because it's easy to line things up. Number two, I have the flexibility to write notes and write places that we've been to, things that happened in the day, just to remind me of why we maybe didn't do school that day or something like that. And it gives me a lot of space, and I don't have, like, this particular day was big and then this one was small, but if I had a printable or a planner, I'm not able to accommodate for the differences. So just having a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be graph paper, I just prefer it, and I had a lot of it, so I just do it like that. It just seems to work for us, and it just makes it really easy for us. And then the reason I like the ARC is because I can pull this out to scan it. Love the ARC system because it's easy to take out if we don't. So then the other thing that I do with him is, at least this season I'm doing, we have a folder, nice plastic folder he puts in here the work that he's completed. The folder has some sheets that he has to work on, and then here is his notebook that he writes, and if he'll end up putting his work in this folder at the end, and I don't check it every day because my life is so busy traveling and stuff. So what I do is, at the end of the week, I'll assign one day where I review all of his work, and whatever he's done wrong for that week, I give it back to him. And then there's one, so he's what he's doing is working 4 days, and one day is a review day where all of his mistakes have to be redone. So if he has questions that are wrong in the book, he needs to go back to that book and fix the questions. And the reason I do that is because if he really tries hard during the week, then that extra day he doesn't have to really, it's a shortened day for him, so it's an incentive for him to get it right the first couple of times in the week, and then that day can be a shortened school day because he doesn't have a lot of stuff to do. If he doesn't have a lot of wrong answers, and basically there's no school on that day. So I mean, he could do something else, but that all depends if we're traveling or stuff like that. So that's stuff that it's been evolving over the years, and we travel more now. That's the way that it's working out for me. So if you have things like that with kids, you can do a system like that where one day a week is a reward for them not getting things wrong during the week. They have a shortened day for the review day, and then you can go out and explore and do some things that also are school related but not book intensive. So okay, and then in this particular trip, we can't bring the Craftsman bags with us like we did in the travel trailer. So what I brought on this trip is this file box of his school stuff I keep in there, and a lot of my personal working stuff I keep in there. We just keep that in the car. We don't have any space in the RV for that because this RV is way smaller than the other one. So we just keep it in between the seats, and then we just put our gym bags on top. It works out like that because we have the double cab in the truck. So the double cab is great because we can keep storage back there. When we're traveling, we keep our gym bags back there for taking showers, and we keep the school stuff back there. And then another thing, I bought this cute little bag at Walmart this year, and this is just like a little bag with some staplers and some binder clips, little notes, some scotch tape, some rubber bands, just a couple of little office things. We don't really use a lot of this office stuff. We don't really need to, but if we do, we have them in this little bag, and I just keep them here in the front. A little bag right here. That's where we keep that stuff there, and it looks cute. When I go home, I put all his stuff into a portfolio, and I organize it that way. So if the school district calls me, I already have my stuff printed. I don't have to print it out. For you guys, it's not the same thing because you're on the road. So you know, this stuff takes a lot of room. In Florida, you have to hold this stuff for 2 years, so you might not have space for this stuff. So one of the things you could do at the end of the week is scan all of the assignments. That's why a wand scanner is awesome, because you could scan all the assignments, the book stuff that you're doing, all of that stuff, you can scan it. And you know, once the semester is over, you can file all of that stuff in one folder on a backup, and save it that way. That way you can get rid of your books and all that stuff, and then you can just submit it to them. Make sure that the school district does take the digital copies of the portfolio. So if they do that, then you're fine, because you could just submit all the digital copies of all his work, So that's the only way that I would do that if I was doing that as a person on the road. Is you do have to take the time once a week to make sure that you're scanning all this stuff, because it can get crazy if you have, like, you know, weeks of assignments and things. You also want to, if you're doing projects and things like that, you might want to take a picture of the project, keep that on your computer as well. You know, days that you're at the library, I mean, these are part of your memories as well. When you're traveling, going to places, you want to journal that. That's part of an assignment. Write it on your planner for the day that you went to this place and did that. Then you can do questions and answers with the kids, things like that, about where they've been, what they've been doing. There's a lot of things that you can do for homeschool, but digital is going to be your best friend. If your kids are older, they can use an iPad, and they can annotate things. You can give them assignments on the iPad instead, and then you can file those away on your computer. There's lots of things. You can go very digital, or you could be semi-digital, or you can just do books at this point. But digital is something you're going to want to do if you want to hold this stuff, unless you have a family member that can hold a box of papers for your kids, and that depends how many kids you have, because you have 2 or 3 kids. That could be a lot of paperwork that you have to hold on to. So yeah, if you have any questions about homeschooling, let me know. I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Hey guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please share it, and please subscribe. Follow us on social media.